Welcome to an herbalist journey. This is Kerri Bailey's Path. Welcome to an herbalist journey. I'm Kerri Bailey. This is my mini biography, education and herbal path that spans over 40 years. I'm so lucky that I get to do all the things that I enjoy doing. Not a lot of people can say that, but it didn't happen overnight. It took me many years to get this to this point using a lot of grit and determination. There are many paths for the herbalist. This is my path I'll share with you. Join me. I'm originally from Stamford, Connecticut, born and raised there for many years. We did move around a bit, but I really consider Stamford my original home. Stamford's a coastal town on the Long Island Sound close to New York City. It's got lots of industry there as well as beautiful scenery. I will just sidestep on a little bit of a story that my mother's side of the family, as far as Stamford goes, we have a little bit of a famous kind of family there. My mother's grandfather, Lou Robustelli, who's deceased, he was in the NFL, um, and he was a scout for the San Diego Chargers for about 30 years, and he also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But his brother, Andy Robustelli, he's really the famous one. He was a linebacker for the New York Giants, and he was in the Hall of Fame, and he was one of the five horsemen, kind of famous in the 50s and 60s. So, anyway, a little side note. So, if I was born maybe a male, I would have been a football player, but instead, I went on the path that I chose, which was, I think, the best one for me. Well, people ask me often, what is an herbalist? And that was the whole point of this whole series of what is an herbalist. But the other question they ask is, when did you know you wanted to be an herbalist? And I had to think about that because I had always had interest in animals and nature, and I knew I had always I've studied herbs for so long, I kind of forgot what was my initial spark that got me going, and then I finally remembered. I had always been an avid reader. And in the 80s, I started studying herbs as a teenager after reading a particular book called The Clan of the Cave Bear. And the plot was about a tribe of Neanderthals that adopted a modern human girl. And the main character was raised with the tribe's medicine woman, and she learns how to use herbs in many ways. And that concept just fascinated me that you can just go identify a plant, grab it, go make whatever you want to make with it, and then, go ahead and heal that person or whatever. So that was something I knew that I personally wanted to master. So as I got a little older, I went off to college. I continued my self-study with herbs, and I wound up at IUP, which is Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where I earned a Bachelor's of Science in Biology in 1992. I continued my self-study of herbs, which went together really well with my other courses. The herb book by John Less that happened to be one of my first herbal books. I also was using a lot of different field guides and things to help me identify plants. And while I was taking a lot of botany classes at IUP, learning how to identify the native and other plants and flowers and trees that were there, I began to wildcraft, which what we call foraging now. Uh, we had to use plant keys and field guides, and we didn't have apps on our phone and all that, so it was real old school. But I found it pretty cool that the plants that I was identifying were the plants that I was studying about in my herb book. So that was sort of a little bit of an aha moment for me. So that was pretty cool. After I graduated from IUP in 1992, I moved around a bit and I ended up in Las Vegas. I had some family living there, so I lived there for a couple years. While I was living there, I studied Reiki and energy work and eventually earned my Reiki 3 master teacher level. This helped me understand the energetics of human beings, of plants, the universe. I continue to use my Reiki on my products and throughout my personal life. I think it's really important to understand energetics, and it really goes well with herbalism. I also developed a chakra connection workshop and program because of that. Well, Las Vegas wasn't the place for me, so I ended up moving up north to the Pacific Northwest in the Seattle Tacoma area in the late 90s. I had gone through many different thoughts about where my path would lead me. Further education I knew I had wanted, whether it was a master's to go to veterinary school. And that's kind of why that led me up to the Pacific Northwest. But instead, I found some herbalist classes at Highline Community College with Karda Perksing Kulsa. He's a well-known herbalist, and I got his link there if you'd like to look him up. Eventually, I took his certified herbalist courses in 98 and 99. While I was going to herb school, I already started working in horticulture, and I began working at several different plant nurseries. And my goal was because I wanted to learn how to grow herbs. I wanted to grow as many herbs as I could to put into my products. So I continued doing that. I also worked at several different other nurseries as well as pawn stores for the next 25 years while I grew my herbal business. And they actually go together quite well. I could focus on my herbal business in the off season of the nurseries, fall through spring, and then when it was busy in the horticulture industry, I could focus more on that in spring and summer. So working seasonally allowed me to have the best of both worlds, developing my horticulture and herbalist skills simultaneously. And I've been an avid gardener ever since 1998, and I also teach others gardening classes, several colleges as well as online. While I was in college at IUP, I worked for the Pennsylvania Game Commission in the summers as a research assistant studying wetland areas. I had to learn about wetland ecology and aquatic plants. That eventually led me into start up my own pond store and pond maintenance business called the Pond Pad for several years. I loved it, but I had to retire from that vocation in 2019 as I ruined my knees and I had to get them replaced. I retained the Pond Pad name and website, which is now dedicated to gardening, pond, and wildlife education and conservation. You can visit it at thepondpad.com. I started my herbal business in 2002. I first called myself K.A. Bailey's Botanicals, but I later changed that to Herbal Elements in 2006. I primarily focused on making herbal topicals like lip balms, body balms, bars, and I made really good sprays. As I progressed, I began experimenting, creating teas, supplements, and other types of tincture blends. Some turned out great, others good, some not so good. But that's how you learn. You learn by doing. I would recommend when you start off, start making small batches. And then when you really feel you have it 100% or pretty close to that, then you could start making larger batches. Otherwise, you might waste a lot of product, jars, labels, and of course, your valuable time. Well, UB's or Ubiquitous Journey was such a great place. I'm so sad it's not around anymore. But in 2010, I met the owner of UB's, Robin Liss. UB's was an herb tea and spice shop. It was first located in Puyallup, Washington, and later moving to Tacoma as UB's Cafe. And I was a staff herbalist there from 2010 to 2018 for about 8 years until the shop had to get closed because Robin's husband got deployed to Bahrain. So it was just, people don't realize when you have a retail shop how much energy and time goes into it. So if you are interested in having your own store, just know it's very much a labor of love. Internet might be a little easier, although you don't get that personal connection that you have being in a shop. And I gained so much experience there connecting with clients and making custom blends for people. I also had several different product lines there. So UB's was my home and I miss it a lot, but that's okay. That's what happens with life. You have to move on and move forward. I also got to teach a lot of classes there through Free University, so they gave me a good basis for teaching, which I value to this day. Herbal Elements Academy was established in 2015, and my primary goal was to have my herbalist certificate program there, as well as other classes, courses, and workshops. I write all my own curriculum with the help of my interns and students. No AI. I also quote those who I borrow from. We offer gardening, herbal, and DIY classes, kitchen herbalist certificate, organic backyard gardener certificate, and my professional herbalist certificate program. That's launching fall 2024 in person at Pierce College, and it'll be online in 2025. I also have established a mentorship program for students to continue to grow and customize for their needs and situations. So it's a really good thing to be able to combine those aspects together. Very pleased that that's launching here soon. Well, teaching and writing were always something I enjoyed. I've been doing for quite a long time, and I felt it was a great way to reach out to the community, helping others to embrace herbalism, gardening, and other organic aspects that we can add into our life. I was writing blogs for my businesses for decades, as well as for my employers for over 15 years. You can find some of those on olympiaponds.com, herbalelements.net, and thepondpad.com. But I've also written ebooks, booklets, zines. And then I started teaching in 2017 at some of the local colleges here in the Tacoma, Olympia, Seattle area. Highline I taught for a while. I don't teach there anymore, but I primarily focus on SBSCC, which is South Puget Sound Community College. In the Lacey campus is where I teach. Centralia College in Centralia, Washington, and Pierce College in Puyallup campus, which is my home base. I also teach classes and do speaking engagements and demonstrations at local nurseries, herb shops, garden clubs, and places like that. So if anybody's interested, you can email me at herbalements@gmail.com. As I move forward on my herbal path, teaching, writing, making products, and working in my garden, I've started many other ventures. I have many books on the horizons and other publications due out 2025 and 2026 on gardening, ponds, aquatic plants, and fish, herbalism, recipes, cooking with herbs. Some of those I'm going to be doing with myself, and some of them I'll be collaborating with my students. I also have videos and other social media promotions that'll be coming out, and podcasting is a new thing for me, the Herbal Advocate, and as well as Herbal Fusions. Myself, it's collaboration with Raf Balaki, so I hope that you'll be listening to that as well. And I look forward to continuing my life's passions, opening up my next chapters. I hope that you enjoy opening up yours as well. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kerri Bailey on An Herbalist Path. This is part 4 of What is an Herbalist. You can find me online at herbalelements.net, herbalementsacademy.com, and thepondpad.com. And I hope that you continue to infuse herbs into your daily life. Thank you.